So it'd be very stealthy, very quiet. This is a good drawing of the B-2 that shows the triangle trailing edge and the double W. This is not what was reported in the Hudson Valley, so you can see how it was a completely different craft. Incidentally, it's $2.3 billion per aircraft on the B-2. The A-12 Avenger II was a vintage 1990s procurement for a high-altitude all-weather interceptor designed to replace the A-6 Intruder. By 1990, there was a design order for 650 of these aircraft, but by 1991, the entire program got canceled at the cost of $5 billion. Boeing Phantom Works Bird of Prey is the most recently declassified aircraft, October 2002, $67 million for the program, 47 feet in length, 23-foot wingspan, the first aircraft to use the single composite aircraft construction in conjunction with the throwaway tooling and the 3D virtual reality design. This is now at the Air Force Museum of Dayton, Ohio. And I definitely want to go on record as saying that there is a German/Nazi component to the UFO phenomenon, and I state that because of a book written by an author named Thomas Augustin, who wrote a book called Blunder: How America Gave Away Nazi Super Secrets to Russia. And in that book, it specifically talks about SS General Hans Kammler and how he disappeared off the radar screen, how 5 fake graves were made for him, and how he actually escaped. There's a possibility he did a deal with the American government, and that led directly to the Skoda Works and the programs that were going on at the Skoda Works, including laser weaponry, Donar ray guns from the Tesla era, and also flying saucers that was definitely being used. SS General Hans Kammler was Walter Dornberger's boss, who went to work for Bell Aircraft in New York. He was also Werner von Braun's boss, and he would be in a position to know more than anyone else in the Nazi Party the Nazis' most secret weapons development program. Definitely what happened after World War II is a lot of these programs were shipped to Wright Field, were shipped to Fort Bliss, and also White Sands. The Red Army got a number of interesting designs because of a crazy, dumb mistake that the American Army did in giving away a number of Nazi secrets, including blueprints, diagrams, patents, drawings. Accidentally, apparently, this happened, and they got a jump on the space program, which led to them being the first in most every space thing before we could ever do anything. In 1958, the forming of NASA. So that's just a real quick overview of what's going on here, and I definitely want to state that there's a German component to this.
So in relation to the German component, what's your earliest information about where they began their program? What years did that initiate? Was it 33, 34, 35? When did their program begin, and how was it financed, and how did it mature?
There is some evidence to indicate that the German secret societies, the Tula, the Black Sun, the Vril Society, were involved in a number of these programs. And then moving on to Blum and Voss Corporation and Heinkel Corporation, which were involved in a number of the U.S. Air Force jet disc programs later, vintage 1946. But we have some very good indication that it was vintage 1943, vintage 1942, when America was bombing the ball bearing factories and oil refineries. That was the point where a call was put out to aerospace manufacturers in Germany at the time for a VTOL, vertical takeoff jet disc design that would do away with the need for runways. And so that's how the origin of this took place.
Now, I understand that there were maps that were found by Air Technical Intelligence. Colonel Stevens says one came across his desk with Saturn-like images, profiles where these different bases were. Have you ever run across this particular map or seen?
I have heard of the map from Wendell. I think I've seen a few slides of it. There definitely does seem to indicate that there's good evidence to support that fact. We know that some of these programs were shipped to South America. There's some evidence to indicate that it went to Antarctica with Operation High Jump with Admiral Byrd, who on his return trip said that we would have to face an enemy that could fly from pole to pole at tremendous speeds unrefueled. So that would appear to be some of the